Good morning, children, and welcome back to this English class where today we'll study about debate writing. As I have already explained to you in my previous video, what is debate writing, why it is important, and how we can excel in writing a nice debate or orally also. So, children, although I have explained you various things about debate writing, but in this session, I'm going to expose in front of you some minute things which will help you out while debating. So, let's begin, children. Let's quickly check back the format of a debate. First of all, there is salutation, respected chairperson, honorable judges, and my dear friends. Then there is introduction of the topic, like I'm here to present my views for or against the motion. Then there is body of the argument, may include views, facts, rebutting the statements, questions, etc. Rebutting, children, means arguing, posing arguments. Now, what are the common phrases which can use, like I strongly feel that, I would like to draw your attention to, may I ask all present, I wholeheartedly oppose or support, in my opinion. So all these phrases, children, you can use not only during your oral debate or oral discussion, but you can use these phrases while you're writing your answer for this question. Children, debate is a creative expression of a person's opinion on any particular topic. So the word limit will be about 150 to 200 words. Children, there's a choice between speech and debate. It's a 10 marks question. It's a long answer type question, and it's a 10 marks question. And there's a choice between speech and debate in board examination. Both are same. Both, as there is choice, so both have the same word limit, 150 to 200 words. And there is a little bit difference in between speech and debate, which you might have already coined out. So, children, let's see some important points about the debate writing. First of all, there must be a catchy introduction using the phrases which might attract the attention of the audience. Pre-speech note to draw attention of listeners. So, before expressing your views, just give a short speech concerned with the topic. Then formal address to audience, like respected chairman or whatever it is. Then development of the topic. Then adverse effects. At last, conclusion, and then formal thanks to the audience. This thing I have already explained to you, children. Today we'll study some new aspects of debate writing, how to write it. Children, whether it is for an English class or a part of a club, or just for pleasure, it happens in everyone's life that he or she has to take part in a debate or write a debate. But however, as many people take part in debating every day, so it doesn't mean that it's a very easy task. While you are in a formal debate, children, not talking about informal debate, which generally takes place between your friends, and as you can see in the legislative assembly also. But here I'm talking about formal debate. So while you are taking part in a formal debate, there are hundreds of things you have to follow while debating. You know, you have to cut straight to the chase with some cold hard facts. You have to touch the emotions of the audience. Then, how many arguments you should include? Do you add a conclusion? So many questions are there which you have to solve before taking part in a debate. So now here we will study how we can make our debating an interesting thing. First step, children, many times you might have heard this phrase: the first appearance is the last appearance, or the first impression is the last impression. This is a phrase which is just explaining itself that why the opening of anything is important. Although it doesn't mean that if you have not got a good start, you will fail. Many a time it happens that although you don't have a good start, but you are a success instead of the person who had a good start but he lost. But still, why to leave points? Why to leave loopholes when you are fully prepared? Children, every good debate starts with a strong opening line. And you know, you are dealing with the something emotionally charged as debate topics tends to. So you must emotionally attack the audience. For example, if you're arguing for your country that it must take more refugees, you are supporting them that refugees should be allowed in India, then you can say like this that have you ever thought about what it would be like to be forced to leave your home? So to be so scared of violence or other persecution that you and your family have to leave behind everything you have ever known and travel to a new country. So by this line, you can arouse the emotion of the audience. The emotion should be supported with a valuable statistic, or it means data. For example, if you're arguing that your school should increase suicide awareness programs, you could start like this. Did you know that close to 8 lakh people die of suicide every year? No, it never happens that all the time you can touch the emotions. Sometimes the topic is not emotional. So you can inject a bit of feeling into your opening line. You should be aiming to make your audience and your educator. Adjudicator means the judges. Sit up a little straighter in their chairs. Next step is defining the topic. So after your opening, you need to make the subject that you're talking about crystal clear to your listeners. So you will introduce your topic. Suppose your topic is X. So how will you speak out? Today we are here to discuss the topic X. Then you will tell whether you are for or against the topic. Then see, sometimes it may appear showy. Pedantic means showy. But you and your opponents must be on the same page. Okay, what it means. It means that you should not dwindle away from the topic, whatever is provided to you. It means, suppose a very easy topic I'm telling just now, like girl education. So, suppose if a debate is going on and you are in favor of girl education and your partner is against girl education. So, it should not happen that the partner is continuously speaking against girl education and you have moved to the standard or the level of education in the country. Children, keep in mind, you are discussing about girl education, so stick to the topic. Don't move here and there. Now, if you're not the first speaker in the debate, then you should use this slot to either agree with or contend the definition that your opponent gave. Step 3 is signposting. In fact, what is signposting? Children, you might have seen on the highways, various signposts are there, arrows, then the distance of particular city in kilometers, and the route, the way. So these are signposts to tell you the way, direction, or the path. But signposting in the debating is, in fact, a word or a phrase to just attract the attention. Sometimes it may seem unnecessary, but it is necessary. It appears that it is disrupting the flow of your smooth speech or debate, but it is necessary if you are debating. Suppose you have started to debate and you are totally speaking, and speaking. The audience might get disrupted, they might get carried away to the other thoughts. Children, whether it is a speech or a debate, you have to just catch hold of the person's or the audience's mind. You should not allow them to think anything else except the topic which you are debating or speaking. So, children, signposting means you have to tell that from the topic which points you are going to discuss in your debate or speech. Because if your debate or speech is not directed, then it's not a good debate or speech. You must tell them that today I'll speak these 4 points. Then they will be sure that those 4 points will be discussed. So you have to give them an indication also. That's why, children, signposting is so important. It's a way to simply and effectively remind your listener of what you are talking about and where you are up to in your speech. Then at the end of your introduction, add a few sentences that tells the listener how many points you are going to be making and in what order you are going to be making them. For example, suppose to begin the case, I am going to argue X, I'll then move on to demonstrate Y, and will conclude by examining Z. See, children, here the speaker has given the entire description about his speech or debate. So, at the start of each argument, you can then remind the audience of what you are talking about. So, first, I'm going to arguing X, then tell about X. Then I'm going to argue about Y, then describe about Y, and then similarly Z. You are giving a clue actually to the listeners that they may follow a certain path, otherwise, they will move here and there. Children, it happens, if we train our brain, so our brain will follow the same path. Why is it necessary that if you don't brush in the morning, you feel something bad inside your mouth? If you don't bath, your body doesn't feel good. Why? Because we have directed our brain, we have not directed our body, we have directed our brain to react like that, so that we may follow the same path for which our brain has been trained. In the same way, you have to train the brain of the audience that they must also follow the same path. Otherwise, what will happen? If you don't brush in the morning, then you don't take bath, then you don't take breakfast, our body will become lethargic. We will not have any routine, and without routine, a person will become useless. So similarly, you have to target the audience. Then fourth step is rebuttal. Rebuttal actually means putting up arguments. The phrase, children, sometimes the best offense is a good defense, isn't just a clutch. Clutch means just for the time being or for the time pass. But what does this mean? That offense means attack, and defense means to protect oneself. So this phrase says that sometimes the best attack is to defend. It's not a useless phrase. If you have watched a professional debate, you will know that the most compelling part is usually when one side takes one of the arguments of the opposition and then absolutely shreds it into pieces. It means you just pick up the argument raised by the opposition and then break it into pieces with your valid and valuable points. Children, it's however a very difficult part also in debating, because rebutting session forces you to think on the spot, because it's kind of extempore like thing, and in the extempore kind of thing you have to be very much on the spot. You have about 30 seconds to take an argument that the opposition has likely spent hours researching and honing and convincingly refute it. Sometimes even not 30 seconds. So, generally what happens when the other person is speaking for 20 30 seconds, in the meantime your mind is busy finding out contradictory points to refute it. So luckily there are some strategies which you can use while rebutting. So these include pre-research. Although in the previous page I told you that rebutting is a very difficult task, but no, nothing is difficult. If you have researched earlier, a day before, so use that day. After you have corrected your own arguments, put yourself in your opponent's shoes and try to anticipate what the arguments that they are going to use are. Means, suppose you are preparing on the topic the girls' education and you are in favor of the topic. Children, if you are a good debater, please prepare against the topic also. Because when you will prepare against the topic, then your mind will work like your opponent. Because to defeat your opponent, you have to think like your opponent. So when you have prepared the negative points also, definitely you will then know how to heal the wounds given by the opponent. Next is, if your opposition is arguing for a change to be made, there's a key idea that you can focus on when you are rebutting. if your opponent is advocating for some elaborate change, like for a government policy or social ideology, but they have neglected to explain what the benefit to the said change are, then that's your opportunity to sue. Like this, you can speak. My opponent has explained the proposed change in extreme detail. However, they have failed to explain what the point of the change is. It means if your opponent has failed to portray something, then you can put that point. If your interlocutor means your opponent, has explained the benefit of the change but not very well, then you can use the same approach but soften it a little. My opponent has stated that his or her proposed changes will have the benefit of X. However, given the amount of word that would be required to make the changes, X simply isn't worth it. So, like this, you can put your points. Economic challenges. So, bringing up economic challenges is so useful because it works with virtually every debate topic imaginable. Any topic on social justice, a current issue, a government policy, or something completely left field will have an economic link. If your opponent says that your country should be letting in more refugees, rebut them by explaining the burden on the economy. So, earlier, children, I told you that if you are in favor of refugees, then what you can say? You can say that it will just help multiculturalism. But suppose if you are against, then you can say that if you allow refugees, then it will increase the burden on the economy. It would create to relocate so many people. If they argue that your country should stop letting in refugees, rebut them by talking about the potential that skilled refugees have to benefit the economy. So, children, anyway, you can talk about. Use your own arguments to rebut an opponent's point. It's a simple but effective way to mount a defense against your own case. Of course, going aboard and rattling out your entire pre-prepared argument is a huge mistake. It means move away from the points which you have prepared, but don't forget the limits. Children, have you seen the kite? Till the time it is tied to a cord, it flies nicely under control. But if the cord is broken, what happens? It moves away. It is totally dependent on the wind. So don't be a kite with a cord broken. Be a kite with cord entirely in your own hands. So, children, that's what I mean to make out here. That whenever you are talking, if you are giving argument which you have not prepared, which you don't know anything, please don't put that argument because it will put you in trouble only. So here we have discussed that why we allow the refugees because it supports the multiculturalism. Fifth step is your arguments. So now we have reached the most important part of our debate, the arguments. To make things easier, I have broken this heading down into 4 simple subtopics. So you must decide what to argue. If you get lucky with your debate topic, then 20 arguments for and against might immediately spring to mind. If it's more of a niche topic, however, it may require research to come up with talking points. So look into the background of the issue, read news, articles, and opinions pieces, and even try browsing some debating websites for idea. Once you have really good understanding of the topic, the right arguments will jump out at you, no matter how difficult your position is. So, children, while you prepare for the arguments, read news, articles, opinion pieces, and browse websites also to get idea about what to write. Then the layout. So writing an argument for a debate is almost the same thing as writing a body paragraph for an essay. So you should begin like this. Firstly, I am going to argue and then follow with a one sentence summary of your argument. After this, you need to elaborate on your point or a little. Give some facts and statistics to legitimize what you are saying, and then at the end, link neatly back to the topic of the debate. So it's a clear to the audience that you are not just giving a passionate rant, but instead of making a carefully calculated point that ties in with general thesis statement. The children, same thing has been expressed over here, that just stick to your topic. Next thing, children, here is finding evidence. So if a topic is one that requires you dredge up statistics, dredge it up means surface up the details, facts, figures, data, and use experts at every turn, then you need to make sure that you are doing it correctly. Children, it's a very vulnerable and very important point. See, if you are presenting a fact that India got independence on 19th of August 1987, and you are saying it very forcibly also, so do you think it won't make your reputation go down? Definitely yes. If you are putting up a point and evidence, that should be correct. Check the source while preparing for the debate. If you are putting in a fact, check the source. If it's a book, it should be from a reputable author, a reputable house, publishing house. If it's from a website, the website should be educational or a government website, and if it's a news article, just check who wrote it. Secondly, make sure that it's a recent fact or figure. It means the facts and figures which you are going to present, they must be correct. Otherwise, the adjudicator and the audience sitting in front of you is not a fool, because they are more senior than you, and might be they know the exact thing, exact fact, the fact which you are presenting wrongly. So please be very careful. Suppose if you are dredging up numbers from the 1980s and your opposition realizes that, then you are in trouble. Not only the adjudicator or the judge, but the opposition, suppose if they catch the fact that you are presenting the fact wrong, then they will, destroy your entire debate. A single wrong fact will make you defeated. So please don't read that. Your evidence is the backbone of your argument, and if it's not strong enough, then the whole thing is going to collapse. Then you must have persuasive strategies. Persuasive means how to persuade a person, how to make a person believe in what you are saying or writing. So you might have seen the journalists and authors. What do? They use humor, they use metaphors and appeals to logic. What a lot of people aren't taught is that spoken persuasive strategies are pretty much the same. You can use similes and illustrations to your heart's content. And don't insult your opponent, children. Although you are debating, but he is also a fellow being. So don't insult your opponent. Speak like this: I want to speak against my worthy opponent. And even in your debate, don't insult your opponent. So the last step, children, is conclusion. See, it's very important. And there is no specific rule in writing a conclusion. So, conclusion means summing up the arguments that you have made. But while summing up the arguments, try not to repeat them word by word, as you have said earlier. If you have included statistics, don't repeat the same statistics. And you also sum up with your team members' best arguments. Suppose you are debating in a team. So just put up the best argument if it has been put up by one of your team member. Then reiterate to an emotional call. And then at last thank the audience. To sum up everything, your speech structure should read as follows. See how your speech structure should be. In the beginning section, it should be a strong opening, like have you ever thought about X? X is your topic. Then, second part, defining the topic. Today we are here to debate the topic X. I and my team has defined this topic to mean Y. Then signposting. I am going to argue X, I'll then move on to demonstrate Y and conclude by examining Z. It means you have told what all you are going to speak out. Then the rebuttal session is there when arguments take place. So to begin, you can say like this: I'd like to rebut some arguments put forward by my opposition. They have claimed X, which is false because of Y. In the section where you put your arguments. Now to move on to my arguments. Firstly, I'll be demonstrating X. Secondly, I'd like to examine the idea of Y. And lastly, I'm going to argue Z. That is your signposting. And at last, conclusion. Today I argued X, Y and Z. It's for these reasons that I and my team firmly believes that X is right. So this is the way your debate would be organized. So children, debate writing marking scheme I'm telling you here. So if we talk about marking scheme, debate writing comes as a 10 marks or a long answer type question. And this is the breakup. For format, that is your opening address and conclusion, you get 1 mark. For content, you get 4 marks. Expression involves grammatical accuracy, appropriate words and spellings. Then for that you have 2.5 marks. And then for coherence and relevance of ideas and style, you have 2.5 marks. So it means expression is of 5 marks. So format 1 mark, content 4 marks, expression 5 marks. So total it becomes 10 marks question. So children, 10 marks means a lot. So prepare well. See children, whatever I discussed in this video lecture, it sometimes talks about oral debate. But doesn't matter children. About written debate, I have already discussed in my previous video lecture. So here I just discussed I touched some parts of oral debating points so that you may get an idea how to actually present yourself while writing a speech or debate. So children, many a points which I have discussed over here, you can use while writing a debate for your board exams. Children, hope you understand today's topic in a nice manner. For any confusion or query, please contact me. Thank you.